Today at EB, I chatted with Professor David Allison from the University of Alabama, Birmingham about a variety of things. Here's what he told me.
I got involved really through the field of obesity per se, and I started as an undergraduate. I took a course in human emotion and motivation, and we studied the theories of Stanley Schachter, and I was just fascinated with how he would be such a creative experimentalist, and he would move from one study to the next. He would do a study. He'd often partially confirm his hypothesis. He would then create a new hypothesis to explain why it worked in this situation and not that situation, and he would go and test it. And then I got into paper writing more throughout my career as an undergraduate, and I would like the fact that you could address obesity from a psychological point of view, from a genetic point of view, from a physiologic point of view, from an economic point of view, and so on, and that really appealed to me. I think the biggest challenge is confidently determining causal effects. How do we determine that A causes B? That this diet really causes more or less weight loss than that diet? That this diet really causes you to live longer or not, or prevent heart disease or not? We can do those things in animal studies very rigorously, but the question then always is, does that generalize to humans? We can look at it in observational epidemiology, but the question is always, is it causal or have we got a confounded association? We can do clinical trials in humans, but it's difficult to do very rigorously controlled trials for very long periods of time in humans. And so then we always have the question, did we control the trial well enough? And or if it's a short-term trial, can we then make conclusions about long-term effects? And those three things are all limited, and that's what we've got. And so it's how to use those things to triangulate. There are, of course, some other tricks and techniques we can use involving natural experiments and quasi-experiments and so on. But I think that challenge of making strong causal inference with limited studies in every domain is our greatest one. My favorite scientist is probably Benjamin Franklin. I think he's really bold and creative. He was brave. He moved across many different areas. He was a great polymath. He loved to converse with other scientists. He had a great positive spirit, and he was a very rigorously hard-minded scientist. There's probably not going to be one single solution. I think there will be some cultural changes that will be important, and I think that in addition to that, there may be some large-scale societal structural changes. We know that disparity seems to be associated with obesity, and so one thing we may need to do is reduce disparity in our country a little bit. And then, of course, there'll be individual clinical treatments, including surgery and pharmaceuticals and so on. I would say, with respect to the science, read and discuss broadly. Read across many, many areas, from ecology to basic biology to psychology to statistics to economics. Think about all these areas. Talk to people widely. Debate, question, think, go back, re-question your own assumptions, and don't try to follow what everybody else is doing. Try to come up with a new approach. Think about something a little different.